First off, I want to say that I love Xbox. I'm playing Xbox more. This isn't a thing necessarily against Xbox, but it is a thing that's more about Phil Spencer and something that he said recently that I don't agree with, and I think that a lot of Xbox fans should also not agree with. And I kind of want to get that out there just so that I can kind of make it known that, you know what, this is sort of one of those things that I find to be just a little odd. Like, I don't understand Phil Spencer's thought process with this, but I do want to get into it. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video, all that jazz. So anyway, I talked a little bit about Phil Spencer and his idea when it comes to like Game Pass on other platforms and things like that, and how I thought that, I don't think that it's necessarily a great idea. At the same time, I also think that he covered some other things in his discussion, and I didn't think that that it was exactly maybe the right thing to say. Maybe we're at a point where Phil should possibly keep quiet a little bit, at that particular juncture. But anyway, according to this, and I will link this so you guys can check it out, Phil Spencer doesn't want to copy Sony's strategy with single-player blockbuster games. Now, over the past decade or so, Sony has managed to build an impressive portfolio of single-player games for the PlayStation consoles, thanks to acclaimed first-party studios like Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, Sony Santa Monica Studios, Insomniac Games, and Sucker Punch Productions. Titles like Uncharted, The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, and even Ghost of Tsushima are often cited as the pillars behind the success of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Meanwhile, Microsoft struggled for a long time to deliver similarly remarkable first-party games. Head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, eventually got the upper management, chiefly CEO Satya Nadella, to bankroll a acquisition spree which saw Microsoft collecting the likes of Bethesda, Obsidian, In Exile, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Playground Games, Undead Labs, and Compulsion Games over the course of a 3-year period. Now, Microsoft surely has the creative manpower to challenge Sony, but it will not do so by simply copying PlayStation's strategy and crafting similar games. Speaking to Games Radar, Phil Spencer underlined the importance of Xbox doing its own thing instead. And this is what he said, and quote, "Our strategy is to not just be like someone else. I get a push sometimes of, where's your version of this or that game? I've been in this industry for a long time. I have a ton of respect for creators of all platforms, and I know many of them. But it's good if we're doing something different than what other platforms are doing. We're not in the business of just trying to create a green version of somebody else's blue or red colored platform. That's not the example of creativity that I want to see in the games industry." Now, this is a very interesting take from Phil Spencer, in my opinion, because I think with 23 studios and sometimes multiple teams in each of these studios, what's wrong with going out there and trying to do a amazing game the way that PlayStation tackles it, with the level of depth and storytelling and control that, say, a Last of Us has or an Uncharted has? I don't really see an issue with that whatsoever, to be quite frank with you. I think that they should be doing that, but maybe on the other hand, not putting that amount of stress and pressure on your developers is a good thing, because how could you ever, come out and compete with that? Because we've already seen multiple times when, these companies, come out with something, right? Like, something's got to be the Uncharted killer or the Gears killer or the Halo killer, right? Like, that's a lot of undue and unjust sort of things that actually have to go on to the thought process of these developers. I don't think that necessarily would be a good thing, especially given the fact that we know already that Microsoft had an internal review of The Last of Us 2, in which they said, in its review of the flagship Sony game The Last of Us 2, Microsoft said The Last of Us Part 2 had set a new bar for what Microsoft should hope to be able to achieve going into a new generation of consoles. The analysis gave particular praise to the game's visual quality and attention to detail, and noted that its overall presentation is significantly ahead of anything that other teams have been producing on console or PC. When it looks to like this kind of stuff, ultimately, the analysis called The Last of Us 2 an exceedingly rare video game, where what it accomplishes in moving forward the art of narrative storytelling in video games as a medium ultimately outweighs whether or not everyone likes or it even has fun playing it. So I understood that a little bit, because I played The Last of Us Part 2, and I know a lot of people like, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's great. It's one of the few games where my wife was actually like, please wait until I'm home before you play it because she wanted to see how it turned out. So the story was there. I thought the gameplay was there. I thought everything was really good about it. But was it a quote unquote fun game? I think that's the part where, I kind of agree with Microsoft's assessment, which was, I don't think it was fun. I think it was a game that, basically I kind of dreaded at some points playing, because there's no fun or laid back part to it. It's always constantly a very stressful type of thing. And so, yeah, like, I don't think I had quote unquote fun with it, but yeah, it was an interesting kind of situation nonetheless. But yeah, I think that it's very cool that Microsoft had that kind of review of this game, and obviously it's a Game of the Year contender. And I do think, just kind of going back to what Phil Spencer was talking about, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with going out and trying to, like, if you truly do let your teams do what they want, like from a creative standpoint, maybe one of those studios has high ambitions to do something like a God of War or something. Maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's a Banjo-Kazooie and they're trying to do the best, platformer they can do. Like, I don't find anything wrong with that whatsoever, to be honest with you, because things are going to get compared anyway. I mean, isn't Forza series basically just kind of them trying to do the best they can do to copy Gran Turismo because they needed a racing game, and Halo, I mean, obviously kind of doing the free to play thing. Isn't that just them copying sort of those fads and things like that? I just really do think that maybe Phil is being a little bit hard on these type of things, you know what I mean? Like, look, with 23 studios, many with multiple teams, can you give us just one AAA new banger that is Game of the Year material with high attention to detail, great story, and maybe doesn't have multiplayer? I think that's very much a thing that people are asking for. Especially when you go back to, previously, I can remember when Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild released, and both those games did extremely, extremely well. And Phil Spencer had previously, like right before that, had mentioned that single-player games weren't the draw that they used to be, and you know what I mean, kind of alluded to maybe not doing single-player games. And to his aspect, he hasn't really done a lot of single-player games. I mean, in terms of the AAA space, yeah, like their games sometimes carry a single-player element, but they don't really do a AAA single-player only game anymore. I think the last one was 2016, so over 5 years ago, with Quantum Break. And again, that was like a AAA single-player game. Now Hellblade 2 will probably be a AA single-player game, but I can't really think of like a big AAA. And again, it seems like they're willing to take the risk on on something like a Hellblade or something like that, but that's because there's not very much risk involved. Whereas building a brand new AAA IP that's going to be huge and single player only in the Game Pass type of way, it probably wouldn't work out too well for them. But again, and then he changed his tune once Horizon and Zelda were hugely successful, and thankfully that's where we're going to get Fable. Will Fable be a single player only game? I kind of doubt it. It'll have some kind of co-op or something, some kind of hook to keep people playing together or subscribing and things like that. So we'll see where this plays out before too long. I hope that everybody kind of understands where I'm coming from this. I love Xbox and I think they're on the right path, but I also feel that this is an instance where possibly they get it wrong, and that's a little bit upsetting because I would love to see them try at least one. That's the hope anyway. At least, hey, try at least one, see what's up, see how that works out, and what's wrong with just doing that one to see if people kind of respond to that genre-defining game, the way that Halo was for the original Xbox, the way that Gears was for the Xbox 360, almost the way that Titanfall could have been if they had owned it, you know what I mean, for the Xbox One. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that all kind of works out, but yeah, I would love to see what you guys think about this in particular. Very much grateful for each and every one of you that watch the show. There's many things happening changing. I have a big announcement next week, so please stick around for that. And I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with this stuff. Rack them up, like it, share it, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad. Have a great day. Fact them up too. Crapgamer out.